In this video, I want to talk about the syllabus and just talk about the course in general, about how to navigate the course. So I'm obviously well aware that you can all read. So I'm not reading the syllabus word for word. That's kind of on you. I'm not the kind of professor that is going to give a quiz about the syllabus. I just think that's a dumb idea. Not to dismiss anyone that does it, and everyone is unique in their own way in terms of being a professor. But and I don't treat the syllabus as a. I'm not the kind of professor that thinks of the this as a contract. My philosophy with a syllabus is that it gives us um, I don't know, as best as we can have a common understanding. It is not my goal. I don't like to be placed in the situation where I have to hide behind the syllabus just to deny you something, or um, to impose some big change or radical policy. Um, my hope is that what the syllabus does is it reduces uncertainty for you. So let's talk about it. This is Econ 412, Economic History of the United States. Um, since this is a online course, and you know, given that many of you will not even be on the islands, the idea is that it's easiest to contact me by email. I'm on email all the time. Um, like all of you, it gets sent to my phone. I've got it on my computer. It's the easiest way to contact me. Now, with that said, I follow a really old timey belief that I do not want a computer in my house. It makes you work at home, and I don't like doing that. I like my home time to be my home time and my work time to be my work time. And what that means is that if you send me a really detailed email and I'm reading it on my phone, I may not be able to reply to you because I'd have to type it out on my phone or go all the way to my office to actually type out a reasonable reply. So, um, especially on the weekends, if you send me an email, you may not get a response until Monday, but you should know that I have read it, whatever solace that gives you. And if it really needs a reply from me right away, I will reply right away, even if it's in shortened terms. My office, it's Saunders 522. I'm there most of the time, but if you're coming to campus to meet with me, you may want to coordinate with me by email, unless you just really want to surprise me, which I guess would be a surprise. This course has 3 credits. As all of you would know, this is a 6-week class, so it is a bit accelerated. So here's our one line, very badly written course catalog description. And then I describe it. What we are doing in this course is we're basically retelling the history of the United States from the perspective of an economist. That would be me. And so we're generally going to highlight economic events, right? The Civil War, yes, it's about slavery, but also it's about the fact that we had a divided country developmentally. And that one way you could see the North as winning is that it had a better financial system, it had a better way of financing the war than the South. Um, we'll look at other issues as well, such as the Great Depression. Um, we'll look at the forming of the country and even the events before the country was formed. It's only 6 weeks. And remember, I'm not a historian, I'm an economist. So, you know, we're not going to be able to cover everything in 6 weeks. There are some things like World War One that ends up getting cut out. Um, at least from the last summer when I taught this, we didn't have enough time for it, and I don't expect this summer to have any time for it either. These are the student learning outcomes. I write them down because um, I do often think about what it is that I would like you to take away from this course. And these are the three ideas I guess I'd like you to take away from the course when the course is all said and done. And that's how I will feel that you've gotten your tuition dollars worth in terms of this course. Your assessment in this course will be on basically two types of things. One thing will be what I'm calling a reflection paper, which is just kind of like a short discussion paper based on some questions that I write out. And then there will also be three exams. So there's 8 papers, 3 exams. It's a lot of writing, which is typical of a historian. Look at that though. The exams in their totality are just as important as the reflection papers. So do everything. Don't neglect to do something and think it's not going to matter that much. The textbook we'll be using is History of the American Economy by Gary Walton and Hugh Rockoff. Um, eh, you don't need to buy the book. Um, I was able to, with some Googling around, find an entire PDF of the book, and I just downloaded it and I cut out the chapters that you needed. So you're going to see that here shortly. We use La Lima to kind of manage all of you. But since we're doing so much writing, I have found it easy as an instructor, and I think you will find it easy as a student to use Google Classroom. As many of you know, La Lima, it doesn't deal very well with papers and whatnot, submitting papers and whatnot. And many of you are maybe familiar with it because you've been doing it for multiple years. But there's a ingenuity, I think, to using Google Classroom. And so we're going to use that for the exams and the reflection papers. And I will teach you how to do it if you've never used Google Classroom. Um, Classroom policies. Uh, you know, the best way I can describe classroom policies is I really am trying to be fair. I don't want to give someone continual extensions to a deadline, knowing that someone else in this course is, really working hard to meet a deadline. It doesn't strike me as fair. Now, I was never in college. I was never the person that did things on time right away. Um, and so I'm sympathetic to those of you who feel like you want to be late on some things. But also, we've only got 6 weeks. And as soon as a part of this course is done, you've got another set of readings to do. So I'm not doing you any favors by giving you extensions either. Now, with that said, I say here in the syllabus, you should expect a grade of 0 if you didn't do something on time. If I'm being strict and I'm in a grumpy mood, that may end up happening to you. But for the most part, I do try to be understanding of an occasional late thing. You should tell me about it by email why you're late. And don't lie. This is not your time to lie. You might think I'm gullible, but I've been teaching at least for 17 years. So I've probably heard every excuse in the book. Um, Most of the time, I don't care what your reason is. But I do get a little grumpy when I know I'm being lied to. So just don't lie. There's no need to. Just tell the truth and let the chips fall where they may. And most of the time, as long as I don't feel like it's being unfair to the rest of the class. Is it unfair to the rest of the class to give you 12 extra hours to submit something? Maybe not if it's just one time that's happened. Um, you can't turn in everything late though. Um, even if it happens more than once, I'll be pretty grumpy. Only because I have to grade things too, you know. Academic integrity. Um, don't cheat. I mean, it really is as simple as that. I know time can get short on us, and you know, I'm sure you can Google. I'm sure you can even buy an essay um, on the internet. I mean, obviously, I see what you see when you Google things. But if all of a sudden you start like using words I don't think you exactly know what they are, um, where you're just writing in an incredibly sophisticated way that even has me leaning back in my chair, something's up. And obviously, you're submitting it to me. So obviously, I can kind of like poke around and see where something might be coming from. Just write it yourself with your ideas. And when you use someone else's ideas, cite it. Use references. Accommodation. You would know it if you need it, and you would have then gone um, to the student services office, to the uh, to student services, and they will then reach out to me, telling me what kind of accommodation you need from me. Then we've got our grading scale. That's just issued to us by the university, so I don't have much control over that. And now we've got the structure of the course. What I like to do, and I think works the best, is I like to group things. I like to lump things together. Um, so you'll notice that the only two things that are kind of odd here is I have an introduction due pretty early on, and that's only because the university gets mad at me if I don't do an assignment right away in the beginning to prove that you actually enrolled in the course. So we have to have something. The introduction is not graded. It's just credit, no credit. Um, if you don't do it, unfortunately, I have to like report you to the university as not participating in the course, and then I think they administratively drop you from the course. So just do the introduction, and then um, I've got reflection paper number one here due May 29th. That would be the first week of the course. Now, of all the deadlines, that one I'm actually don't care if you don't do it until June 6th. The only reason why I have it due May 29th is that I would imagine many of you will look at these reflection papers and be like, I have no idea if I'm doing what he wants me to do. And that's why if you do that first one on May 29th, I can read it, be very generous in my grading, and then guide you to how to do it right. That way you start doing it right then for reflection papers 2 through 8. If you don't and you wait till June 6th, you run the risk that you didn't do it right, and then you'll have 3 reflection papers that all have the same error, most likely. Now, you also have exam one here. Now, I am uh, posting exam one, exam two, exam three. Everything is posted already, right now. You can work ahead as much as you want. I'm not going to stop you. It's an intense course, but you know, if this is your only thing and you got a big hot party to go to in the middle of June and it's going to last 2 weeks, I'm going to get the course done before the middle of June. But I suspect most of you will kind of can manage your time by this point in your college career. And so basically, I divide the course up into 3 parts, and that kind of gives you a way to shape things. This first part has 6 chapters that takes us all the way to the Civil War. You've got the reflection papers already. You've got the exam questions already. You know, am I expecting that you're going to read all 6 chapters? Eh, I mean, I'd like it if you did. I think they're interesting and I read them. At the same time, um, at the same time, I this isn't a reading class, meaning I'm not testing your ability to read. What I am in charge of doing is assessing your understanding of economic history. And so my hope is that you will glance and browse at each of these chapters. And if you read them, you're probably going to do very well in the course. And they're not difficult to read. But if you don't read it, you'll survive. You're not going to get like a super A plus, but you'll survive. The second part of this course takes us in the Civil War all the way to the postbellum period, which would be basically the eve of um, the end of the 1800s, early 1900s. And you'll notice the exam is timed in each of these cases where it's a little bit after the reflection papers are written, with the idea that you could focus on writing the reflection papers, get those handled, and then work on the exam. And then after that, we don't have very much time. Got about a week and a half. And so then we have 3 more chapters. Oh, sorry, there's a typo right there. Look at that. You can see things in action. Um, with reflection paper 7 and 8. And then everything is due July 1st because that's the official last day of class. Okay. So that's the syllabus. I'll end this video here, and then in the next video, I'll talk about La Lima and Google Classroom.